Alrighty. So, first of all, Rusty, congratulations for the EWQA's very first employee spotlight. This is something new that we're doing. We want to recognize people within the EWQA network that go above and beyond, and you're nominated by your peers. So I think sometimes that's a greater honor than being chosen by some executive team. So before I hound you with a bunch of questions, I have Trent on the line as well, who nominated you, and he's actually the vice president with Negley's. So big deal. Trent, can you briefly just tell me what made you think of Rusty for the spotlight?
Thanks, Candace. And yeah, I just say whenever I think of lifelong dedication to an industry, there's nobody that kind of exemplifies that better than Rusty. He's a guy that was basically born into the water treatment industry and has dedicated his life to it. And he's always focusing on education and improving ourselves daily. And of course, that aligns up very well with the EWQA mission statement, which is to educate its members and give its members all the references and help that they need to get better within the industry. So Rusty has really rededicated his career, I'd say, here recently to the EWQA and membership and helping to recruit and help others as well. So I just couldn't think of anybody better to nominate for the award than Rusty Stoner.
That was great, Trent. Thank you. I'm excited. What an honor. Like, I'm just happy for you. And Rusty, I've known you for quite a bit of time as well. I was trying
Right?
to remember back. Like, it's been at least 6, 7 years, I think. I don't know.
I think
But
so.
as long as I've known you, you've been in the water treatment industry. So it is my pleasure to even be conducting this. So, with that said, Rusty, tell me a little bit about your role with Negley's and like what made you decide to work for them.
Sure. I appreciate that. Thank you, Trent, for the words. I've been with Negley's now for about 5 years, and I came on board originally just as a salesperson. Uh, Negley's been in the well drilling business for a lot of years, and Trent helped start off the water treatment part of the business, but they never really had a dedicated salesperson. Trent was kind of the manager, the secretary, the service guy, everything initially, and then they evolved into some additional employees. But I'm their first true sales rep as of about 5 years ago. And the intention of when they brought me on was to build a sales team and build the business from the sales perspective. And when I came on, I was just a sales rep, and I did that for a few years before we started adding some salespeople and building the sales team. So as of now, as of today, I'm officially the sales manager. We have three branches, and we have three full-time sales reps, one part-time, and myself. So a total of five of us here in the sales team now. Uh, so I do a sales management with them. I do a weekly sales meeting. We do daily interactions with them, but then I also do still some selling, some commercial, industrial selling, and occasionally a residential sale, but mainly the residential is left to the sales team.
Wonderful. So you've built that whole department, you and Trent, kind of from the ground up then.
Yeah, yep, yeah. And it's been due to Trent and his leadership and just the ownership. I think one of your questions coming up may be, why I decided to join Negley's, and the real reason is Trent and Dustin, the owner, and Julie, the two owners. Whenever I decided to get out of working for a competitor and decided to get out of the ownership type of a role in the water treatment business, I was contemplating what I wanted to do next, and whether I wanted to be a straight out owner of a business, a sole owner. And that was one of the options I was looking at when I came to talking to Greg Gruitt with Water Right, and thought about having my own. Sorry about that. Having my own dealership, and it brought me to Greg suggesting I come talk to the Negleys. And I thought, well, if they're for sale, yeah, I'll go and talk to them if they're for sale. Well, no, it wasn't a matter of them being for sale. It was a matter of them looking for someone like myself with some industry experience and drive and being goal driven and all for developing sales. And my first meeting with Dustin, Julie, and Trent, we all knew before we even got into specifics that we were going to be a match. So.
That is such a cool story. I don't know if I had known that before, but congratulations there. So tell me, I'm curious to know, what has been the most challenging aspect of taking on that leadership role?
Transitioning out of being reliant just upon myself and developing my own strategies and plans for my own income. Because as a manager, you got to rely on your people, rely on the folks that you're managing to have their own successes, and then it comes back around and can help support my own personal income. So that's been the biggest challenge, is transitioning back from a role of being fully in charge of my own personal income and the sales role to the management role. It's been the biggest challenge I've had being here at Negley's, and there again, it's where the ownership and Trent's leadership have really truly kicked in, and they have taught me or worked with me on how to accomplish that without losing anything that I was making income wise, because to me that was one of the main reasons I work is to support my family and have a good income. So they've been instrumental in helping me to develop the leadership strategies.
So that sounds like, I'm thinking of my next question, and I'm just curious to see if this partnership that you've created with them, these relationships that you've built, would that be one of the most rewarding parts of this experience?
Absolutely, and that's seeing the growth of everyone around us, all employees, whether it be a clerical person or a service technician or an installer, or absolutely my sales team. I take great pride in what I've been able to contribute to the organization, because they're top notch. And again, that's the reason I'm here, is they're really good people, and I pride myself in that. But then seeing that the folks that are working with us have that same drive and that same desire to do the best they can on a daily basis, that's been the most rewarding.
I love that. It's like your biggest challenge reaped your greatest reward.
Absolutely.
So how cool is that? Anybody that's listening, remember that. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to take risks and confront those challenges. Tell me about how you've grown during your time with them.
Sure, and that basically goes along the same line that I've learned not to put all the weight on my own shoulders, and to know that building a team is supporting myself as well. Building a team is supporting Negley's. Building a team is supporting the team. Building a team is takes care of itself. If you have good people and you have that teamwork, then you're better off yourself. The organization's better, and every member of the team is better. And so Trent has really been instrumental in helping me. So if anybody should have been nominated, maybe it should have been Trent.
Well, I would, if I were to ask him, I would wonder if his success is directly related to your success, and thus the success of your team. I'm like envisioning these wheels, like almost these wheels that just kind of turn along with one another. One wheel turns and the other one can turn, and then, mm-hmm. So this idea of just teamwork and working together all after a same goal is what I'm hearing here. So,
sure. Absolutely.
How would you define success then? No, Trent, Candace, please go.
Yeah, sorry, but I think you're hitting the nail on the head right there. Rusty's being kind of modest here, and we can answer one of your questions. Rusty's been a huge, person to get our whole sales program up and running, and that's pretty much on his shoulders and what he's developed. But you're right. The essence of it is developing the culture between him, myself, and all of our other team members, because there's a lot, but it's fun in that fit. And I would say that's something to think about with the other members that might be listening to this, is how do you create that culture within your organization to where you could bring in a Rusty Stoner or whoever might be in your particular area and make them fit so that everybody can achieve their greatest, with that relationship.
Right.
Because it doesn't just always equal 1 + 1 = 2. It doesn't work out that way. you really have to work at that relationship to make it work out.
Right. And I think a lot of times it's just kind of like what Rusty was saying before, it was just him. And he really had to adapt and be like, this is a team thing, which means sometimes, we don't always get what we want if we put the company or others first, or we might not always, get everything that we're looking for. But that's really what culture and teamwork is all about, is thinking about where you're going and how you're going to get there and who plays what role. And it's not a me first attitude.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
And Rusty was willing to take that risk and maybe take a little step back and maybe sacrifice some of his personal goals up front. And because of it, he risked, we risked, and man, it really has worked out because we both, took a step back to take many steps forward.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
What a beautiful story. I can see why you got nominated, Rusty, even though I think you are just fine too. But how would you define success? Like, based on all of that, like, what is success to you?
Yeah, that's a good question for anyone. But I'm going to focus it more on work success or success in business, and to me, success means looking forward to going to work. Looking forward to the day. Not thinking about personal things. I'm not thinking about where else I would like to be, and but truly wanting to get out of bed and get to work. It's not a job. It's life. It's part of my life, and really enjoying. So that to me is success. Really looking forward to coming to work and seeing the team, seeing everyone else within the organization feeling the same way. That we have very, very few times in the 5 years that I've been here at Negley's have I ever heard another employee make a comment about, oh, I really don't want to be here today. It's just, to me, that's the opposite of success. So just the desire to get out of bed and want to be here and not have something else I want to do. I'd rather be here at work than anywhere.
So it's about this mindset and this like joy, like you truly enjoy what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And you probably couldn't say that in your past roles.
Exactly. Yes.
So
Yep.
again, just another thing of taking a risk and a challenge and seeing how it pans out. Let's
Mm-hmm.
switch gears a little bit. Can you tell me, could you have like a funny story you can share, work related?
I've thought about that. There's been a lot of stories. I've been in this business for 37 years now. I keep saying over 30, but I'm realizing it's getting close to 40 now. So it's crazy. But there's a lot of things that I can't really share. But some funny things, such as leaving your test kit on the top of your car and driving off.
Oh,
I've
geez.
done that more than once. But that's bad enough. But now with new technology and things, I've left my iPad on the top of my car and drove off and have come back and literally seen another vehicle run over top of it.
Oh,
And
no.
it's still okay. It's what I'm talking to you on right now, my iPad. So the same iPad that's been run over is the same one I'm using to communicate with you today. So a lot of that over the years.
Sounds like luck to me.
Right.
Mine would be crushed into pieces. Or I would get run over trying to get the iPad back.
Right.
Who knows? Do you have a favorite quote or a book that has influenced you?
I do, and most of the things that I'd like to read and have read over the years have to do with motivation and personal motivation in sales and sales leadership, sales management. But really, my biggest influence throughout my sales career has been Zig Ziglar. Anything by Zig Ziglar, but my favorite quote, two of them from him. One I can quote without looking at it, but the other I'll look at here. But and that is, if it is to be, it's up to me.
Hmm.
And that's my favorite, quote. But another is, you can get everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that sales leadership? That's an excellent quote for what we do in sales leadership, because it is. If everybody else gets what they need, ours will come.
Absolutely.
I
Mm-hmm.
love those. Thank you for sharing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Last kind of offbeat question. What would we be surprised to learn about you?
Well, you, Candace, and some other folks that may listen or watch this, Trent won't be surprised because he's known this, but I a number of years ago now, but I played in the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas, and I actually made it to day three. I was about 12 people away from making money. I got put out like 12 people before me. I was into the third day, into 3 days into the World Series of Poker, so that was a really fun
I
time.
am surprised. That is cool.
Mhm.
That is awesome. So you're close. You 12?
Yep.
But 3 days in, I bet I couldn't imagine the anxiety.
Oh yeah. It was a tiring three
I
days.
believe it. Along the lines of leadership, we've talked a lot about this idea of leadership, but it really being about your team. What does true leadership mean to you?
To me, it's those days that you don't feel like being at work, and I'm going to contradict myself maybe a little bit from what I said earlier, but the days you're tired, and your days maybe you're sick and you don't feel well, but still knowing that you have folks relying on you, you have your team that needs you there, and still being able to be there and to support them. Um, that's to me leadership, that you're sacrificing yourself for the team.
Yeah, very nice. So it's really about it just goes back to what's best for the team.
Hmm. Yep, absolutely. And that leap of faith that we talked about earlier, that's the same kind of thing. You self-sacrifice when you become a leader. It's about the self-sacrifice,
Right.
and you're helping others.
And we can talk about sacrifice, but very often we don't really recognize the reward we receive, like we talked about just a little bit ago. But we may be sacrificing, but there's a reward on the back end.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably what I've learned from Trent. Truthfully, is that it's more about that, seeing the others succeed and knowing that you're going to succeed then as well. That's the selfish side of it. But I've come to learn through Trent that it's just as exciting to see those others succeed as well. And whether it contributes to your own personal success or not, just the fact that you're seeing others grow and others succeed, that's very rewarding as well.
That sure is. It doesn't always have to be financial, huh?
Right? Mm-hmm.
Very good. I only got two more questions for you. I've heard there's a pandemic going on right now. It's worldwide, it's unprecedented times. What has been the most challenging about this?
The most challenging is not having that face-to-face personal interaction with the team and with the guys. We've been very fortunate. We have remained open for business throughout. We've worked very well within the company to provide personal protection and all, and right from the beginning. And the owners knew the potential seriousness of it, and didn't downplay it at all, but at the same time uh, allowed us to work intelligently. But the hardest thing was not being able to work face to face with the guys and the rest of the folks in the office at times. So that and the technology, the requirement, the literal requirement of having to get better with the technology to be able to do virtual things and to have meetings and things with folks when you're not able to be in front of them, whether it be employees or potential customers, and meetings and learning and things. So this whole technology thing, which I've fought for years, I've had no choice. I've had to come on board with it.
So you've learned during all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we kind of have to be forced into learning, but yet you learned.
Yeah.
And the last question I have for you before any closing comments from either you or Trent, how has the EWQA helped in your career, and what might you tell others about the EWQA?
Sure. The biggest thing is the camaraderie. Just being able to be with your peers, not folks that you work with day in and day out, but just other folks that are in the same trenches, but in maybe a different part of the country or a different part of the state or whatever the case might be. But truly sharing the same war stories, truly sharing the same experiences. So being able to go to the conferences and things, but make those connections and make those relationships that you can communicate on Facebook or by phone or whatnot if you're not going to a meeting. But the meetings themselves have been very instrumental throughout my career, not just EWQA, but WQA and attending the training sessions and some of the things like Zig Ziglar and things were brought to my attention years and years ago through Water Quality Association, through WQA. So, yeah, invaluable. There's just way too many things to be able to discuss that EWQA and WQA lend to this business and lend to all of us. It'd be crazy not to be a part of it because there's just that much good involved.
Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself. Any closing comments, Trent?
No, I would just like to thank you, Candace. I think you're doing an amazing job here with EWQA and with the thanks to Rusty for agreeing to the interview, and Rusty, I really appreciate all you do for us, and I look out to the other members, and hopefully maybe there's something that you guys can take from the relationship that we've been able to form. I'll say this, Rusty and I are kind of polar opposites in some ways, but don't let that stop you from being able to make a relationship and make it work. I mean, it's good whenever guys come from different, gals come from different, schools of thought on things, and they come together and they're able to work through the differences, and you can really make things really work out well that way if you can get through it. So we're polar opposites on some things, but we're very similar on the fact that we're competitive and we have a similar drive, and we're looking to be successful in the industry and to help out as many customers as we can. That's the ultimate goal. So with that, we're able to put it together and make a successful business thus far, and we have a lot of high hopes for the future as well. So I just kind of challenge others out there to look for similar relationships that might be able to work out for them.
Yeah, and I add to that, Candace, that this whole WQA, EWQA forum just helps all of us to maintain our focus on being professional and being not a fly by the seat of your pants kind of business and or individual, that it's truly a watchdog for each other. We get to help each other stay in the right direction and stay professional and do things in the right way. So in the 37 years I've been in the water treatment business, I've seen a lot of good people come and go, and the ones that have stayed and the ones that have been here all along are typically people that have been involved with WQA. So.
And I just think too, as I guess a final question, do you think that part of the relationship building that you've been able to do in your company and build your culture has resulted by being part of the WQA, EWQA community?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, that I may not have stayed in the business myself. I may have got into some other kind of a sales related thing if it wouldn't have been for the mentorship that I've received over the years from different individuals, and just seeing that community and having that resource to be able to keep falling back on when I needed some resources. WQA or EWQA has always been one that was easy enough to turn to, whether it be online or making a phone call or whatever the case might be.
Very good.
And Candace, I'll just add to that, Candace. For me personally, my inspiration for building the culture in the team in Negley's, a lot of that has come from mentors at EWQA. There's been too many to list, but there have been a lot of professionals that I've met through EWQA who have poured their knowledge back into me, whether it be intentionally or unintentionally. Sometimes you just learn from conversations, at the bar or the dinner or lunch or whatever. But there's been a lot of people who have invested back in EWQA who have been able to help the next generation of businesses and professionals. So I just really like to thank all those ones that were the generation before me. That's been awesome to help our business grow.
I love that. I love that. And I have to add that too personally, being part of EWQA, being a part of a bigger movement. not only opens up opportunities but helps you grow and make those connections, and it's something to get your team involved in, and they're learning and they're growing together. So um, allow me to be the one to congratulate you. Thank you so much for doing the interview, and it's just been my pleasure to do this and to learn a little bit more about you and how you all work together. So, just that to everybody out here, if you have an employee that you would like to nominate for the next employee spotlight, please do so on the EWQA website. And this is a great form of recognition, in a way not only to learn from our peers, but to show your employees how much they mean to you and your organization. So with that said, thank you, gentlemen, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much, Candace.
Thank you.